Well, good morning, everybody, as there is a big dose of finality hanging in the air on a overcast Sunday afternoon, or soon-to-be afternoon, here at Gulfstream Park West. Turf, a big part of the game, and much like the turf, we have a lot of green up for grabs. That is the real story. Not only the championship meet less than a week away, but the fact that this is day 40 of 40, as Ron Nicoletti and Jason Blewett join you live from our GPW Clubhouse studios.
Yeah, mandatory payout day. Everything must go. I always remember when I was a kid, 42nd Street, they have those stores. Everything must go. And they were in business for 45 years, but everything really must go today. Late pick 5, Rainbow 6, and the late pick 4.
When you say that, I think of growing up as a kid with my penny savers and with Crazy Eddie.
Yeah,
Remember him?
yeah, of course. Crazy Eddie. I remember the electronics.
Yeah, electronics, kind of like a Nobody Beats the Whiz.
Right.
And, of course, he was evidently breaking the law left and right. But that's a story for another time. We do want to remind everybody here, as we are excited not only to have our mandatory closing day type Rainbow 6 and late pick 5, but with the territory comes the start of something very, very big and a new and improved Gulfstream Park racetrack over in Hallandale Beach, considering there's been in excess of $20 million worth of renovations. And that opening day card, Ronnie, drawn today, correct?
Yeah, drawn today, a little later this afternoon. We'll draw it, so when you get a chance, take a look, see what we'll be offering on Friday. And then we come back right on Saturday with a big stakes day for 2-year-olds.
Yeah, no, 6 stakes on that card. And I am hoping, we were discussing some of the better 2-year-old maidens that ran here this meet alone at GPW. And I know we're both fans of Fort McHenry. I'm wondering if he and he's California Chrome's younger half brother, if the Smooth Air Stakes next Saturday going a mile, that might be a good spot for him for trainer Todd Pletcher. So mandatory payout day, again, we're all about the friendly reminders at this point of the Sunday edition of GPW today. Rainbow 6, late 5, and late pick 4. And sure enough, Ronnie, we got into the nightcap. They were 2 big-priced horses, but nonetheless, a couple of key singles potentially were alive again heading into the nightcap.
I was shocked. There wasn't any great, 100-to-1 shot. And I was surprised that there was a couple of singles left, and that's how much they're betting into this, trying to get that one unique ticket. Now it's mandatory payout day. No matter how many you have, if you have the only one with 6 or 5, whatever the case may be, you take it off. If everybody shares, it's still going to be good.
Yeah, so be it. It'll pay very well. And you only get popped with that 20% tax or takeout just the one time on these mandatory days in the Rainbow. Also, by the way, as we start a little earlier than we have at about 60 minutes time at 12:35, give or take, we have about 4,000, just under that mark, up for grabs in the Super High 5. And again, Turf does win the majority on this closing day program with 5 individual races on the grass. And that, of course, is the starting point to the day and the early pick 5. I'm going to take a little shot using, and there's a part of me that says, you might be a tad light in this race, but I'm hoping with Ronnie and I both picking the one Sky Sun, who's had far fewer chances than just about every other major player in the race. Maybe it's just the right spot for him. The 7 Macho Mania has run consistently well despite not winning, and an early slight favorite at 5-2 or co-favorite at 5-2 with the Rail Runner. In the second, I am 3 deep there. I do think the 7 Gemologister, who we have a thing for just because he's a hard trier, who's only won 3 of 48 starts. I think he'll run pretty well this afternoon for trainer Arby Mirage. And Ronnie, as I got up to the 3rd race, I just decided to say, the Gilberto Zerpa first-time starter with Hyro, the 9, you're out of control. If he can run a little bit, he could be very, very tough to deny in that field.
Yeah, there's not much, to stand in his way if he can run very well in there. I have him on my ticket, but I put him a little further down. I went with Chaos Kid on my top.
And a little overlapping there just in terms of the Rainbow with the 4th and 5th races in this early pick 5. I'm 3 deep, obviously, hoping to take down and link up 5 consecutive winners for a $27 play as we backtrack into the Sunday opener on a fast and firm getaway day. And as you look around, and a number of these horses are pretty familiar. If you're a horse player, racing fan around these parts, you're going to know a lot of the names in here. And with that has come, for most, one loss after another, and that's where I think the 0 for 6 lifetime resume of the one Sky Sun comes into play. He's just had, and he's going good now for David Fox, and he's just had fewer chances.
And I wrote in my analysis today, gets the tepid nod for that exact reason. But this race, you're absolutely right. When you put your ticket together, you want to go a little deeper in here, but, you got to keep your ticket affordable. With all of that said, I think Sky Sun is the one to beat. He responded to the stretch out with that 2nd place finish at this level and distance. MSC El Jaramillo will handle usually, good third start back from a layoff. Macho Mania up there right now is the favorite. I think is the other horse in the race.
And Christian Torres, in fact, off his mounts today. We had hoped Christian would be back with us today, but a little body sore, and he has just opted to go into the Gulfstream Park Championship meet fresh. But a great job by Christian all season long. In fact, winning 32 races. Paco, of course, will win the title with 37. And there's some Paco lurking, no question about it, Ronnie, as this card progresses into the second, and we hit the main track, coming up on a race in which I have picked Paco on top with the 4 Venezuelan Warrior. It's funny, you picked, I think, the story of the race. That's the British bred, who might be the most talented and the quote-unquote classiest going in Actabante. I just don't know about this horse, for me anyway, running on the dirt at a short price.
Well, he's turning back to his sprint distance on the dirt. He's making that. He made a middle move. He reached the lead last time out. He weakened. So I looked up a stat on Jane Sibeli, who's doing this. Turf to dirt, all claimers. She's 12 for 47, 26%, 53% in the money, $1.96 return investment, and she's going good.
Right.
You're getting the apprentice, Michael Tonon, who we heard from Jason, told us, Jason's Beam, what a good rider this kid was up in New Jersey. He won like 25 of 100 races or something like that. He's got a good percentage. So I figured that was the way to go with me, and I'm just going with the hot barn.
No, I understand. Jane's done very well here the last, say, 3 weeks of the meet. I wonder in that sample, though, and there might have been some horses bred in Europe with European turf pedigrees who maybe stepped up and won on the dirt. I do wonder, though, although she's pulled this move off with success, how many of those horses maybe had prior dirt form and good dirt form where you just don't have that with this 7-year-old gelding by Oasis Dream. So I'm taking Paco with the 4 Venezuelan Warrior, who seems like a logical player. And then we've got the 7 Gemologister on the outside. And all of this race we're about to backtrack to was run, in fact, closing day of the summer meet over at Gulfstream Park in late September. In fact, Sunday, September 29th. I figured we'd pull it just to give him some props. It's funny, Ronnie, you know, you have, I think, any circuit you're paying attention to, there always seems to be maybe a handful of just hard-trying horses that don't win all the time, that you just get attached to. And I think if you polled any South Florida horse player, they probably, like us, have a little thing for Gemologister just because he tries so hard every time he goes out there.
He's beautifully bred, and when he started his career, his second start was in a stakes race, and he ran second, was back then, and I just loved the breeding on it, kept going back on the turf, and as you mentioned, 3 for 38, and that was his third win. It took a long time to get that one.
He is coming back out of a race, a much tougher field, and do note, sloppy track, that was a day we ran 8, 6 were won wire to wire. Combination of a very good field, won by Take Charge Dude, and a very speed-biased type racetrack were against him, and this is more like it in for the 6250 from the outside. Let's move on to the third here, back on the grass on this day number 40 amid overcast skies. We've got some 2-year-old 20K maiden claimers battling 5 furlongs, and as I looked around and basically just sized up who was in the field, looking at the 9, You're Out of Control, who's by Cantharos, going out for Gilberto Zerpo, who your knee-jerk reaction might be, this guy's a claiming guy, blue-collar type, claiming wheel and deal in the claiming box outfit. He's pretty good with his first-time starters, and I will say most of his horses have speed. So I'm assuming this horse will be pretty sharp from the gate, maybe can just wire the field. If he can run a little bit, the others are going to have a hard time.
Yeah, that's true. And I have him on my ticket too, but I did go with the number 6 horse in here, who's dropping into the maiden claiming ranks after a steady stream of 5 furlong turf outings under special weight conditions. Includes that stalk to pace 5th. That was a key dash last time out that produced a couple of next out winners. So I just thought maybe this horse with that performance will be able to jump up and beat these field in here. Lunag Eri, I think it's pronounced. The number 7 horse, we'll call it, drops. Tom Foley's got Paco named on the son of Hypocrite. Who's that?
I don't know. I don't know. Every now and then you run across, we had one the other day by the Duke.
Yeah.
So every now and then you get these real off the tight path or main road type Florida-based stallions. So
if you don't know, I don't know, that's for sure. Because
Yeah,
usually know all that stuff. I don't know who that is, but I just thought that horse had a shot. You know, taking the blinkers off, showed some speed last time out.
And you got Paco with speed. That seems to be a pretty good combination. Over a turf course, you had picked up on it early yesterday and even the day before. Being in the first flight is a big positive.
Yeah, it looked like the course had played like that, went back to being a little fairer, than now it looks like the last couple of days
Yeah.
You got to be on the engine.
Definitely, and Paco gets that, and we certainly get a lot of money in the Rainbow Six on the flip side of this quick timeout. And if you're just joining us, a live look at the Sunday racing conditions on this 40th program, 40 of 40, in fact, here at Gulfstream Park West. I do like this shot, looking out over the track and the big city of Miami Gardens. But a good 2 months, and again, want to thank everybody, horses and our great fans, for the support over the last 39 days. And we move forward. And that's been the mystery, the ever-evolving mystery. Would the Rainbow Six, even maybe a week ago, because the pool was gigantic, would it get hit? Well, we got the answer, no. So it's got to go today. And I know you're going to take the Yeoman's shot at it here, Ronnie. How you feeling?
Yeah, $64.80 for me. Went 3, 4, and 6. Now, big scratch in the opening leg with the number 2, Leilani. I thought everybody would have that horse on their ticket. So I replaced it with Papa's Girl. Paco will be in that horse. Showed some speed last time out. Too deep in both race 5 and race 6. I went with Milka and Golden Knoll in race 5, and right back with Cabre and Deal It With It Dude for 2 deep. Then 3 deep in race number 7. Eric the Salesman. I think a lot of people are going to use that horse. I use Southern Sea and Lawyer Drill along with that. Then race number 8, where we have our dueling long shots in there. I went with Painterfest now. I just thought that this horse would run okay. We had a big scratch in there of the number 2 horse in there, Derlin, so we'll see how it runs. Painterfest for me. And in the last, I think Tail Adios, Tennessee Cotton, and Passing Moment are the horses to beat.
They might be. That is a hard race. You know, my Rainbow Six ticket, in fact, after the scratches of Derlin in the 8th and Leilani in the opening leg, actually clocks in at the same 64.80 as Ronnie's. You know, what's very difficult, aside from the fact of just having to have 6 consecutive winners, you know, there isn't, unless you're really bullish maybe on Milka, who might just simply be in the right field in race 5. Obviously, I am not bullish on her and don't fully trust her there as one of 3 that I used. There's no real standout single, per se, or a horse that you could just go, you know, I'm so confident in this horse, win, lose, or draw, that I'm comfortable putting all my eggs in one basket. It's not that kind of sequence, and I'm 3 deep, like Ronnie was, to close things down in race number 9, which has a scheduled post shortly before 5 p.m. later this afternoon. And in looking at that field, Ronnie, even a couple of days ago, getting prepped for today's card, I couldn't help but think of your one of your best-selling wagering books in using the all button for fun and profit. If you were ever going to bang out the all button, it might be a good time in the nightcap. Yeah,
the nightcap's a tough race in there. You know, the horse that we both, I don't know if you have the 7 on top, I do, and that's Tail Adios, 5-1 on the morning line. So it is a tough sequence, but if you can figure it out, you're really going to get rewarded. And you don't need that. You would love to get that one unique ticket and bring home $6 million.
Right.
But I'll take 400 grand or something like that if you can do it. With that said, with the scratch,
you might be close to even this meet if you hit for 400 G's. Almost even.
No, almost even. With the big scratch of Leilani, I moved the 4 Infinity Sky up to the top spot in here. Who's hoping to save more for the stretch stride. Dual for the lead, finished 3rd. That's Bobby DeBona, Sammy Camacho named to ride today. I just thought Infinity Sky. You have Vicky Apple. I thought those were the logical 2 in there.
And the parallel between, I think, Vicky Apple and Infinity Sky is the fact that this meet alone, they both have giant daylight victories going this pronounced two-turn dirt mile. So that's a positive check mark, I think, for both Vicky Apple and Infinity Sky. And your filly might be able to control, too. She may get loose in here. Vicky Apple in off a big win. And if this race starts to bust apart at the seams and some of these horses, for whatever reason, can't go the mile today, don't sleep on the one Hill Valley, who's got quite a bit of back class. And could this be a bit of a confidence play with Arundel not wanting to run Leilani against a horse who won't be favored, but maybe a horse they feel is doing pretty well?
Yeah, you know, you always go there. They scratch one out and they leave Hill Valley in, so it's a good angle to follow, and good pointing that out.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on to race number 5. We do kick off a mandatory, for what it's worth, payout in the late 5, so no carryover, and we start the sequence with 9 in the mix, and a ticket that, for the most part, just looks quite similar to my Rainbow 6 play. I'm not going to bore you going through the list there. I guess my point is I did not single Milka in this opening leg here, who, I mean, she's got the class, and looking at her turf races, mainly the one in August and the other one towards the end of September against the likes of Extravagant Rosie and Onyx, she will bury this field. Here's a couple of points to be had, though. She's coming out of a race that was a little on the softer side, and I felt we might get a good handle in terms of quality, Ronnie, with Gia, who was in the Friday night cap, and she didn't get bet. She didn't run all that well, finishing a distant 8th. Milka's still the filly to beat. I don't fully trust her.
Yeah, you know, she's in the barn has been going so good lately. Alexis Delgado, who trains the number 9 Milka. We just show you a stat over the last 6 months with him: 5 for 25, 20%, 32% in the money, and his return of investment is $3.01. And he had a great day the other day. 3 races he won. They weren't all on the turf, but
no. Well, I was going to say 2 of those 5 winners in that sample were on the grass.
Yeah, we're on the grass. So, you know, of that, so the point is he's going real good. So maybe you factor that in with Milka.
Now, La Flamenca's got Victor Lebrun subbing for Christian Torres. She's got speed for an outfit in Marcio Navarro. Seems to do a pretty good job with his turf sprinters, especially Mr. French, a real successful recent claim of his comes to mind. And the 8 Golden Knoll has also got speed. And here's the thing. I think even if Milka's a little more talented than the 7 and 8, she's untested at 5, which I don't necessarily love. And both Golden Knoll and La Flamenca may have just a simple tactical advantage as long as they don't just adversely affect one another.
Yeah, Golden Knoll is returning to the grass. Lost all chance in its last race. Veered out at the start, steadied. I like this one. Antonio Sano, Paco Lopez atop this daughter of Algorithms. I thought this horse would run okay. And I did use Milka for all the reasons you've been mentioning, and Golden Knoll on my ticket. This is the one that scares me, the 7 horse who you have on top, La Flamenca.
Yeah, no, she's got speed, and again, I just don't know if Milka is that guaranteed type winner that you're going to want to take maybe 4 to 5 on her or even money. I'd tread a little lightly. I don't think she's a single, nor does Ronnie. Back to the main as we flip the page and we come up on race number 6. We go with, what, a field of 9 on the dirt, 2-turn mile, in fact, with these 2 lifetime 6250 claimers. And quite simply, Ronnie, in this spot, looking at Cabre, let's go to his last race back on November 2nd. He's got the speed to really be dangerous in this spot. And I do think that might be the simple trade or factor of his in his tool bag, per se, that may separate him from the likes of a Mysterio, who seems like a logical player, and to an extent, the big drop down the 3 deal with it, dude. Race goes through Cabre because of his speed. He's dangerous, of course, if he can stay the trip.
Yeah, stretching out to a mile. He returned from about a 5-month layoff. You see here to finish that second. You'll see he only gets beat in the neck. That's going 5 1/2 furlongs. We mentioned the apprentice Michael Tunon had a really good meet up there in New Jersey. He's going to be handling that stretch out this afternoon.
Now, deal with it, dude, taking a big drop in class for Ralph Nix, who picked up a nice win here yesterday. Nice-looking Florida-bred 2-year-old maiden special weight runner. Deal with it, dude. I mean, plummets down. And he caught, for what it's worth, that Spectre Bond race back, and he was a big price in mid-October coming in from California. That race was a loaded Florida-bred optional claimer, and even Flat Out Flying loves this track and is pretty Sharp, who beat him last time.
Yeah, it's just the drop that I had to use him on the ticket. He's dropping to the 6,250 level. Faced those 16 condition claimers, and it was a tough field, as you said. MCL Jaramillo handling the class relief this afternoon.
Race 7 here, 6 down, 3 to go, as we are about 45 minutes out from the closing day opener here at GPW. Back on the turf, field of 10 ready to rumble in a 3-lifetime $10,000 claimer, in which I do think, not that he's a single, but you had noted, Ronnie, in your Rainbow Six summation there, he's clearly the 8 Eric the Salesman, the horse to beat, and a must-use. Even if you think he's a little vulnerable, I still think he's going to run the best race that he has put forth thus far for trainer Jose D'Angelo, who's coming in, or at least wrapping up another successful stint here, new meet here at GPW.
Yeah, Eric the Salesman is turning back to 7.5 furlongs, but he had those really trio of solid performances at a mile in the 16th, includes that stalk to pace fourth against this caliber in his last. And the reason I said that, it's just he gets the nod on the consistency angle for me in there. Southern Sea and Lawyer Drill are the other two I used on my ticket. I wasn't totally sold on Eric the Salesman, but I think he's going to be on the top of a lot of people's tickets.
Oh, he's favored here 100%. What he doesn't have, per se, when just sizing up and maybe Southern Sea's second choice, Eric the Salesman strikes me as a horse. We both picked him, who's going to be a little over bet. But, the one differing type, stylistically speaking, factor or trait between the 6 and 8, Southern Sea's quicker early. And over this turf course, again, that speed can go a long way.
Yeah, the way it's been playing, just hoping to finally notch that. Nam was a 3-lifetime condition, sort of been mired in that condition. Southern Sea and Lawyer Drill, I just think you could make a case for him to be on the ticket. Stanley Gold, Hyro Rendon, I'm not sure he can win there, but I didn't want to get beat by that horse.
We move on to race 8. This will be the meet finale and capper on the main track. We go with a 7-furlong, 3-and-up filly and mare, $16,000 claimer. And much like Leilani in that first leg, the other key and noteworthy scratch, and then some, in the Rainbow Six today is the number 2, Derlin, who's out. Nonsense may go favored now with no Derlin in the mix. And just looking at her last start here, back the day after Breeders' Cup, this was Sunday, November 2nd, or maybe Breeders' Cup Saturday, November 2nd, rather. It's good effort. She beat Papa's little girl. She ran the better race. And, I mean, she's obviously, Ronnie, when you look at her on paper, she's just a logical major player.
Yeah, and if you look at her, talking about her record, she's a winner of 5 of 15 career races. She stretches out to 7 furlongs, so you're going to see her here. She responded with that driving score. So Armando de la Cerda, MCL Jaramillo, really consistent 3-year-old in here. I did, as we talked at the top of the show and when we showed our Rainbow Six ticket, I was just thinking maybe the number 7, Paint the Fest, can run well in here at a big price. It was 15-1 on the morning line. I don't know what's going to happen with this horse with the scratches. Debuts for the Timmy Hills, stretches out, rallied to finish second behind a next out, or actually a repeat winner, up 12-5 condition claimer, going 3/4 mile. That was on that sealed sloppy track. I like the fact that Nick Juarez rides this sort of a long shot special for me. I just think with the tactical speed, coming out of some decent races, maybe this one can, help me get my ticket to knock a few people out. Whatever.
And that's the point.
Right.
Hopefully you can slide a good price or two, and in a way have them all for yourself and not have to share, and eliminate a bunch of tickets in the process. And with that positional speed, I think she'll run well. She's a little further down on my 4-horse selection, if you will, capping my super. But with Stormy Boss on the rail, Nonsense, who's probably favored now with no Derlin in the mix. Painter Fence might be the one that's just getting that garden spot ready to roll there off a potential speed duel. We'll see. Creative Award's not slow either. So I like the fact, much like Ronnie's play, I think this Bob the Bona trained Gray Filly by Creative Cause will be up in the game and in that first flight beneath Sammy Camacho. And it's a simple case of her running very well in her 2 races for Bobby D off the claim, and in hindsight probably just simply aimed a little too high. And it's just back down to reality with her down in class.
Yeah, and she's like 8 or 10 to 1 on the board, which is what you want to try and get in a couple of these races. Some are a little more formful than others. Here, I think you could take a chance with whatever horse you think might upset the apple cart, as they say.
All right, fast and firm here as we close things out. And this has been the usual surface to cap the action here throughout the first 39 days anyway. And that is, of course, a turf race to end things. A 2-lifetime and a big field. almost maxed out. We've got 11 after scratches in this 2 lifetime, 3 and up Filly and Mare, $10,000 claimer. And this is a very difficult race. A number of these horses have been running pretty well, yet have been unable to bust through this condition. And I think that's a good segue into Tennessee Cotton and Passing Moment. I mean, you've also got a lot of bold black type as we backtrack to their last start. 5, in fact, are coming out of this race, the 6th race here at GPW on October 27th. The usual good effort from Tennessee Cotton, and Passing Moments ran a fine race as well. Here's the thing. Passing Moments has got good speed, and she's posted down inside with Marcos Meneses today. As a whole, though, I do think Tennessee Cotton might be slightly more talented, but even looking at this crazy finish where the top 4 were separated by about a length or a length and a quarter, I would imagine this will be a cavalry charge. It's that kind of race where there's just such little in terms of ability separating just about everybody in the field.
Yeah, and that's what makes it, a really tough nightcap, or we'll call it, the final leg of the Rainbow Six. I see you got the 4. You think this horse might sit the trip behind there, is that?
Exactly. And, I mean, minus that effort 2 back, she did not run well in her Gulfstream, last race at Gulfstream towards the end of September. She's got 2 very good races, tough photo losses, coincidentally, for trainer Francisco D'Angelo, and much like the 5 Tennessee Cotton, in a race that's a bit of a scramble. Blues Songs, to me, just seems like a logical and just a major player, not trying to reinvent the wheel with my exacta. Tail Adios is your top pick, who does have Rajiv Mirage.
Yeah, wheeling back to the same level and distance after making move and flattening out a little bit when 4th behind this familiar competition last night. You saw that. Terry Pompey, Rajiv Mirage in the saddle. One of those horses, again, 5-1 in the morning line, I'm hoping can win and maybe help my ticket. But Passing Moment is the horse I keep going back to because of that inside speed.
And I trimmed her. She was the last change I made to that Rainbow Six ticket that we showed back before we discussed race 4. So I hear you. I've got her 4th. You've got her 3rd. She's no doubt a major presence on paper. And ultimately, we'll see who handles the course and who gets the right trip in a race. We hope our man, and that's been the case over the last month or so. Jason Beam has sounded great and has been on the money. He's going to need a very sharp call in the nightcap that looks like an absolute scramble on paper.
Jason's done a fantastic job. We don't have the best setup here at Gulfstream Park West, and he was able to handle it. Very professional. Pete will be back on Friday, but Jason, if you listen to us, fantastic job.
Absolutely, my friend. Well said there, Ronnie. And on that note, we want to congratulate Paco and Safi for winning their respective jockey and training titles. And we'll take a little breather here. We'll let it breathe on this live Sunday edition of Gulfstream Park West today. And our man Jason Beam will be up shortly with those Sunday scratches and changes.
Whoa.